All right, and we are live. How's everyone doing today?
Back and ready for another episode.
All right. Who are we discussing tonight?
Oh, the Count himself.
Count Dooku.
Count Dooku. I did not do an opening because I could never get it narrowed down long enough for like a minute. It was just kind of silly. So, big one like that, I don't know. But you know what? I did this last second, so we'll just make this kind of the opening. This is I mean, I think all versions of Count Dooku is pretty awesome, but here's a good one, I guess.
You have done well, Savage. I'll have much use for you. I foresee we will do great things together. I shall teach you the ways of the dark side. Soon, your powers will rival that of the great Sith Lord Darth Maul. We will be even more powerful than Lord Sidious. We shall rule the galaxy together, my apprentice.
Hello, Funk.
All right. You know what? I forgot, though. I got so excited about talking about Count Dooku. Fun Comics! What's happening? I got so excited about talking about one of my favorites that I forgot to do the brand.
Now we're
I don't know why I was doing things twice. It's weird. All right. So I have my little notes here. Like I said, I tried to go technical. Next time it's going to be a piece of paper because this thing's fighting with me.
The old tried and
true. So he is Count Dooku. Now, he is actually a count. That's not just a funny name. That is so he has excuse to work.
He didn't just buy a deed for buying like 1 square foot of land.
Yeah.
Oh, like you see it. What is that? Like what is it?
The Scottish
or whatever?
ones, yeah.
That's the best.
So yeah, Dooku himself. Now, what's funny is he doesn't have a first name. They've never revealed a first name for him.
You know, I didn't even realize that. You're right. I don't know what his first name is.
We have one for Palpatine, Sheev, but not Dooku. I'm sure we'll get it probably in the Tales series coming up. But it's always either Master Dooku or Count Dooku.
Wow.
Now, why is that? I wonder. That's kind of funny. It makes it cooler, though, because then you don't really... He's more mysterious that way.
You know it's going to be something really weird for the first name if they do.
So, I know that... I was trying to see. This is why I don't use this. This is why I don't use this technology stuff. But it's already not working. I know that he, obviously was the firstborn son of his dad. I don't remember because I have it on the pad, so I didn't have to remember his house. But he started showing at pretty early ages that he was going to have Jedi powers. His dad was pretty freaked out by it. His dad thought they were gross. You untouchables. So his dad called for the Jedi to come get this out of my sight.
Quarantine him off.
The sad part about it is they didn't move fast enough. So he literally went to the edge of the city and put him in the woods and left him there thinking that the critters would get him. Well, luckily the Jedi Bloodhound Squad, which they actually have a real name. It's not the Bloodhound Squad. They showed up, collected him and took him to the temple so he could be trained.
Wow, so it's kind of like the Snow White story.
Except for way more rock and roll, way more badass because he turned into Count Dooku.
7 Dwarves.
Yeah, and that is literally how he became. They said that he had a hard time at first dealing with the being trained.
Fitting in like he did not.
He still had his natural air of I'm a count and you're not. So they apparently made fun of him a lot, which you would think that Jedis would have a zero tolerance on bullying. You think that would, because they're also uptight.
Oh.
You would think they would be like, "This is a bully-free zone, sir," but apparently not.
Well,
apparently...
they're the perfect bully because you can bully anyone you want there, and it's always turn the other cheek.
I didn't think about that, but I guess you're right.
So if he was a count, right, and isn't that like a birthright thing?
It is. So like his so the leader of his house is the count on the planet Sereno. He was the firstborn son, so he would be the next in line to the count title.
Even though he's disowned.
Well, he got disowned, but we got sent off. So ultimately, as we find out later, his brother became the count, and took over, while Dooku became a Jedi Master. And then we'll find out what happens to his brother.
So he's
you
Count.
can go ahead and say what happens to him if you want.
Yeah, Count Light. Well, yeah, we can talk about that. I think it's really interesting. So ultimately, so Dooku, he trained directly under Yoda, and we laughed at that because he apparently hated being when people were, what was it? It was him. You said earlier, him and what is his name? Sifo Dyas.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they were hoping to get the same master. And Sifo Dyas went to the one that they wanted, and then Dooku was appointed to Yoda. And he hated that. He's like, I did not want to be with Yoda.
It was Costana, I think is how you say her name. She was she was definitely like a gray Jedi, we'll call it. She was questionable. But they really showed them. She kept showing them like forbidden tomes and stuff. So he really wanted it. And he was I guess Count Dooku was considered like the best in his class, but she just went more with his best friend. So remember now, I'm afraid to ask this. What is your favorite count?
It's Chocula, probably.
This is his best friend, like the only friend he pretty much had growing up. This is the guy that would later come to be known as the guy who made the clone army. Count Von Count from Sesame Street. This is true. One. The guy that later, this is like somebody that you grew up since you were like 5, all the way up, and grew up with him. Best friends, went on missions together. They were the closest of buddies, which obviously I'm doing a lot of foreshadowing because their relationship does not end well. We'll just say that, as you can imagine.
None of Dooku's relationships work out well with the people.
Here's the thing, though. Like, I'm so mesmerized by Count Dooku because he's so freaking cool that he's a bad guy, but because he's always got that arrogance about him, or just that air, like you forget that he's a dirty bastard. Like he's not even close to being nice. Yes, amazing. You're like, well, I'm sure he murdered everybody he's ever known. I'm sure they had it coming. Like I'm sure it wasn't just for no reason.
Well, so ultimately, like another brings up another character, like because you trained under Yoda, and like I guess he gave him enough. Yoda taught him a lot of stuff, and he probably had a lot of leeway with some of the things he was able to learn and talk about. Like he was able to express himself more than a lot of the other Jedi could on his philosophy, and ultimately him getting Qui-Gon as his Padawan is what really technically Dooku being the master for Qui-Gon really does set a lot of the things in play. Like it transitions everything down. Like Dooku teaching his thoughts on like the Jedi shouldn't be involved in all this stuff. They should just be passive to the side and not warmongering, basically, or in the Republic. Shouldn't even be a part of the Republic.
Before that, though, you didn't forget about the little nugget, the little acorn that sprouted his starting down the path of not trusting the Jedi, thinking they don't do what they're supposed to do.
Oh,
and
yeah.
His boy, his best friend again, got a Force vision. I looked down. It's called Proto Branch, Planet Proto Branch.
So weird.
And his boy, Sifo Dyas, got a Force vision that the sun was going to expand, have a solar flare, and burn the planet. They ran to the council, said, "Do we have this vision?" The council was like, "We can't obviously." And I kind of agree with the council slightly on this one. We can't go to a planet and evacuate billions of people because you had a dream last night, buddy. Like, we just can't do it. Like, it's not something we can do. Well, then him, Count Dooku, and the Jedi that he wanted, they all went down there to try to help. One thing led to another. And guess what happened? That actually did happen. The Force vision was true. They burnt the planet, killed everybody on the planet. And I think what ended up happening was it was either that one or another incident. The Republic didn't show up until basically everyone was dead, and they helped rebuild the planet by taking over any of the money-making apparatuses. And so the first thing was the Jedi did nothing, allowed billions of people to die. The second thing is when the Empire, when they did show up, it was kind of just to help make more money for themselves. So that was his little bit of acorn spreading where he's like, maybe the Jedi aren't what they say they are.
Okay, yeah, maybe I need to get
Here's the thing, though. I'm not a fan of the Jedi, but do you know if you're just gonna go in real world talk now, and if somebody said we're going to go and evacuate all of Russia or all of China, because I had a dream last night. I had a dream, and the dream was they were going to get hurt. Let's go evacuate them. And everybody's like, yeah, we should. That's not, it was never going to happen, but they get so bitter about it. It's pretty hilarious.
Again, his arrogance, right? His anger.
Yeah. But yes, he did get the famous one for his, I'm just seeing, he got the Qui-Gon. And he kind of continued it, right? Like Qui-Gon, we always talked about, he kept running into other Padawans and things, but he kind of continued the tradition of showing him there are other ways, other forbidden texts you can read, and things like this. And then the other thing that I guess happened still in his youth or his first parts was he went back to his planet for the first time with Yoda. Do you know the story? Either one of you guys?
I don't remember.
Okay, so he went back to his planet with Yoda. For diplomatic reasons, of course, like the Jedi do. They brought him, which to me seems weird because you don't want them to be attached. But I'm going to go back to the planet where mommy and daddy are, and we're going to do some diplomatic stuff. Like maybe there's a test that Yoda wanted to give him. It did not do what he wanted to do because whenever his dad found out that he was there, he screamed out in front of him, "Then I'd tell you to get this freak away from me," and started screaming about him not ever wanting to be in his sight again. So Count Dooku asked about the day that the Jedi came, and the little green gremlin told him, "Your dad threw you in the damn forest and didn't want nothing to do with you." Like, what? Anyways, so
HR probably had to talk to Yoda that day.
Yeah, like, listen, yo, you can't be doing that stuff, dude. But
this is the sixth one this week. We can't let you keep doing this.
But he was able to meet his sister, and they realized that they were brother and sister, and they stayed in Communicata for the rest of the time. Like the rest of the time he was being trained and everything, he was able to talk to his sister. Again, we got some weird rules for some and some weird rules for others. Holy bejeebus.
Oh, hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, one of the greats. Glitter and duct tape. Look at this nonsense here. Where have you been my whole life? I'm glad to see you, friend. Listen, now the stakes are up. Glitter's here, watching, judging. We're gonna have to pick our game up a bit.
So did the dad just not like Jedi in general, or did he just not like his son was?
He's very superstitious, kind of like
yeah. It was just like a superstition, like these guys are
almost
freaks.
like a Salem witch.
Yeah, like a witchcraft
thing.
thing. Yeah, absolutely.
Right.
I don't know. Like, I get that it'd be weird for your son to do the weird fingers thing, and that something moves across the thing. But like, you're a count. I don't know. Like, even if somebody says your son's a freak, and it's like, yeah, but he'll throw you across the room. Like, what are you gonna do? Like,
it's a funny thing, like reputation, if anything. But like,
yeah.
Now, leading off of that too, him evading the order, it came down to a couple of things. Obviously, with stuff like that. One of the big moments was we talked about it already in the Jango Fett video. Was in the comic where the Jedi were called to Ord Mantell, and the Death Watch were attacking like a settlement, and there was by like the leader of the planet there, and there was a complete misunderstanding, and that the Jedi were like lied to, weren't given the correct info, and they just basically slaughtered the entire Mandalorians, leaving Jango alive, and then Jango's like there, like depressed, and we killed everyone, like my whole clan's dead. And then Dooku realizing, oh, yeah, this was not right. This was not a good decision. that was like the kicker right there, and then ultimately him having his differences with the Jedi. That was the Jango Fett open seasons.
Oh right, yeah, that was good.
That was a really good one. Definitely one to get. And
That's a pricey one.
oh god.
Basically, I've been seeing a lot of stuff on Instagram about influencers affecting comic books. You two need to be careful. You have power to inflect comic books, and we're gonna get hashtag canceled if you guys keep talking about all these comic books. I'm just saying.
So they'll just get more out of reach for us. That's all.
What's the trick? If we don't own them in the first place, doesn't
That is true. The difference is that when we spec talk, we're not doing it to sell the books because we ain't got them anyway.
It's
That's
funny.
the best part.
Even when we like mentioned, oh, this is a really big book to get, and we could even easily just look at eBay and just look and get it, and we just still don't do it. And then we see like months later, we keep bringing the same book over and over again.
Yeah. The best part is how many times after we finish this are one of us like on eBay going, son of a gun, that book's like $200. Are you serious? And it's like, we didn't even own it. And we're like talking about, you guys better get that book soon. And we're like, oh, good Lord, it's like $200.
So funny.
All right. So this guy kept getting himself more and more disillusioned with the Jedi. Everything we can see. Like, I mean, I think that the Jedi was supposed to be pure, but I think over time it's not good. It's not good stories. Let's be honest. I don't think, Daddy Lucas made for the Jedi to be this screwed up, but storytelling is better when the good guys have flaws.
Totally.
But anyway,
totally.
So because he kept talking to his sister, this is why I brought up his sister earlier, she actually reached out to him for help because Count Ramil, which is his brother, has started a war, and it was an unjust war, I guess, in her sister's mind. So Count Dooku, his best friend, and I think it was actually, was it just those two? No, Jinza or whatever. No, that's his sister. Yeah, so him and his best friend went over there to see what was going on. And what happened? Do you know what happened in this story?
He ultimately kills his brother, doesn't he?
Sure does. Not accidentally either.
No, little Dooku Justice.
Now, when does he start using Force Lightning? Because he uses the crap out of that.
That's his favorite move.
He sure is. He smashes that button.
He learned that.
If you were fighting him in a video game, you'd be like, bro, use another move. That's all you got, dude. Like, that's all you got. Well, then stop me from using it. That's the fight you would hear. Then stop me then. Like, you're just gonna spam that crap, dude. Get over your lightning.
Yeah. Ultimately, he gets it when he meets up with Sidious, which, well, after that happens with his with his brothers when he fully leaves the Order, right? Or was it before?
So by
no, after that, he says that he feels like he needs to go back, help rebuild his planet. So he offers to leave the Jedi Order, and I think it was at that point actually the Republic tried to offer. They weren't going to offer any help. They tried to offer help, which I think only made it worse. Like, because he was like, "Oh, now you're going to offer. Oh, now you're going to offer."
So he kind of entered a 12-step program to stop. To try and avoid going down that.
Good reasons in government funding. That's fun.
So he left when he took over as Count. He became like the richest person on his planet for sure, but and around. So with
it's
that,
he was able upswing from a dorm room to a
right.
But he just kind of left public for a while. So the rumor was apparently, I forgot which comic book this was because they actually quoted the comic book. They thought that he was going to be starting his own offshoot of the Jedis, a more pure version, or what he thought was more pure version. So people thought that's actually what he was doing. Was why he had left the public eye, was that he was going to be starting an offshoot of the Jedi Order.
Little did they know.
Yeah, little did they know that's not the bug in the ear that he was getting.
It was a bigger offshoot. It was a bigger offshoot.
It was an offshoot. I mean, that's technically true. He had a Jedi offshoot.
Competitor. Well, the competitor offered him a better deal. We can give you the lightning. We can give you some Force lightning. Well, what's funny was, so basically not long after episode 1, basically, is when Sidious approached Dooku told him, basically showed him what happened. Told him what happened about Qui-Gon and how he was killed, and ultimately he basically made it look like it was the whole Jedi's fault that did it. And yeah, I tried brushing Darth Maul under the rug about him doing it, and ultimately convinced him to join up with him and instigate this huge war to destabilize the Republic and separate the Order, which is crazy because I think about him being, obviously he was the underling, but he was instrumental because it was 10 years he spent going and talking to all the different groups, the planets, and aligning them all together, as well as making the droid armies, and then ultimately having to do the clone army with his best friend, who another fun one there.
Well, I would say from the future emperor's point of view, Count Dooku was the perfect patsy, right? Worst case scenario, they planned that the way Count Dooku thought was going to happen, which was, well, they were going to win the war, and then Count Dooku, they would blame it all on General Grievous. Count Dooku or somebody else would take out General Grievous, and because of this, he would be forgiven for all of his things, because he had no idea that General Grievous' army were doing this. He had no idea, and he would plead the perfect politician thing. I had no idea what the right hand was doing. I was concentrating on the left.
My friend, this is a mistake. This is a
So from Emperor's point of view, he was perfect. You know, he was a count. He had a lot of charisma, so we can use him to be the face and get my plans going. But the funny thing was, it's always weird to me that the Sith always fall in the same trap. If you take that scene that I just showed you, where he was talking to Savage about, we're gonna rule this planet, this universe, the two of us. Darth Vader says that later when he has, I guess first he does it with Force Unleashed with the Starkiller guy, then he does it with his own son, and all of them think they're doing this, and the boss man don't know what's going down. Like, all of them think they're doing this, like they're so clever, and it's like, you guys all think the same way. He definitely knows you're plotting on him. He might not know where it's coming from, but he 100% knows that a Sith is plotting on him, because that's what you guys do.
Right.
But they're all like, don't tell him, but we're probably going to take over this whole thing. And it's like, yeah, he's watching you on the camera, the security cameras right now saying this.
My body cam on.
All right. So then what then? So that's pretty much it, right? He accepted his offer.
And then he went to work. And then he remembered Jango Fett for when he fought him, and slaughtered his people. And then he thought the hush money might make it better. And then obviously, then Sifo Dyas too.
So Sifo Dyas, he was the guy that, you know, he bought the clone army, which I always thought was a weird story. He just has that power. This random guy, he's not the head of the order, none. He can just go buy a clone army, huh? He can just go get it done. He has that power. He has the Jedi credit card. He can just go and buy whatever he wants. So, hey, listen, it was a business meeting. We were having lunch at the business meeting. Like,
yeah, the American Express.
So now we're to this part. What did Count Dooku do to reward his lifelong friend, best friend that was with him from thick and thin, helped him get back his planet, helped him meet his sister? He was there through everything, basically closer than a brother. How did he reward this man?
Well, Katrine, you know this, right? From the Clone Wars.
The Clone Wars, yes.
Go ahead.
Well, he tortures them. He captures them, tortures them, and locks them away. Basically, as you do in the Jedi Order with your brothers, you have to torture them and discard them.
And they make sure they obviously plant all the seeds because they want everything to be found. Everything that happened the way it was supposed to. From them figuring out the clone army was there, to them figuring out where, like, it, you know, maybe it's some Monday quarterbacking going on where they're like, well, of course the the Emperor knew and had everything put in place. But according to the canon, I guess you would say, the Emperor knew exactly. Like he meant for Kenobi to follow Jango. He meant for them to discover there was an army. He meant for them to use the army. He literally meant for them to show up and kick off the army. Like everything that happened up to and including them fighting on God, what was General Grievous's ship's name? Like the Hound, or what the hell is his name?
It was the Malevolent. No, that was the one the clone.
But whatever it was,
Yeah.
like they even had that down to like the day that they wanted them to fight. Like that was the whole thing was planned perfectly. Discovering his boy's body, like they put that where it could be discovered, which is terrible. But everything was planned, and we're kind of caught up. I think, right? Pretty much, we're caught up to where the movies are. This is kind of where he's. All right, so I have one clip here. I was told to do. Beforehand, there is this kind of scene where it speaks more about Dooku. You wanted me to do it. It's the lost scene. It's the scene that did not make it to the movie.
In Attack of the Clones, there was a deleted scene with Jocasta Nu. It's another scene, actually. And it's her talking to Kenobi in the library about Dooku. Because Kenobi never read Dooku. And it's a statue of him, so... Some fun insight before you ever... Like, this is a fun insight before you would meet him in the movie.
All right, here we go.
Did you call for assistance?
Yes, I did.
He has a very powerful face, doesn't he? He was one of the most brilliant Jedi I've had the privilege of knowing.
I never understood why he quit.
Well, one might say he was always a bit out of step with the decisions of the Council. Much like your old master, Qui-Gon Jinn.
Really?
Oh, yes, they were very individual thinkers. Idealists. In the end, I think he left because he lost faith in the Republic. He disappeared for 9 of 10 years and turned up recently as head of the Separatist movement.
It's very interesting. I'm not sure I completely understand.
Well, you didn't call me over here for a history lesson. Are you having a problem, Master Kenobi?
All right, so first
that
off,
would lead to the archive scene.
First off, I just want to say you always hear about this like 6-hour cut that Lucas worked on, and everybody said it was amazing. When I see that, I feel like that has more emotion. That lady's awesome, by the way. Has more emotion and interest than half the other dialogue in that movie, where it's just so bland. It's like you cut out everything that has emotion in it. But that chick is so awesome because she is like one of the most knowledgeable people, and I feel like obviously different writers have wrote her differently, but if you take her as a whole, she is like whoever she's talking to. Like she can be this like lovely old, oh, what do you need, Kenobi? Oh, he was so fun, like an old granny. Or she can jump on a table and slap the hell out of somebody for reading the wrong book. Like she can be whoever that person needs her to be at that moment. It's hilarious.
Good.
But also that tells you Kenobi too, right? Kenobi's the perfect Jedi. Everybody knows that. And they're like, well, he didn't agree with the council. He didn't like any of the stuff they said. And Kenobi's like, I just don't understand. No, because you never go against a Boy Scout. Of course you don't understand. He's like, I don't get it. They tell you go, you go. I don't understand why he was upset. I don't get it.
And she seemed apprehensive to call him an idealist.
Yeah, she struggled. She's like, yeah.
All right, and then here's my favorite scene. I just want to point out. Obviously,
is this the Obi-Wan capture one?
It is. When Obi-Wan gets captured.
I love the dialogue.
Obviously, we're dealing with one of the greatest actors to ever live, and the fact that this old man was given this character that he probably thought was kind of corny, but his body movements, the tone in his voice, like almost like you wounded me, sir. How dare you? Like his tone in his voice is so great. It is a great little thing. I also want to say before I forget, because that was a long clip. This one's long too. Disney. All praise and honor is due to you. You know that. I do not own anything in Disney. I just want to thank you for just allowing me and blessing me to show your clips on here. And it would, if our partnership continue without you giving me 27 strikes, would be amazing. All right, let's show Disney's clip.
Traitor.
Oh no, my friend. This is a mistake, a terrible mistake. They've gone too far. This is madness.
I thought you were the leader here, Dooku.
This had nothing to do with me, I assure you. I will petition immediately to have you set free.
Well, I hope it doesn't take too long. I have work to do.
May I ask why a Jedi Knight is all the way out here on Geonosis? What if I told you that the Republic was now under the control of the Dark Lord of the Sith?
No, that's not possible. The Jedi would be aware of it.
The dark side of the Force has clouded their vision, my friend. Hundreds of senators are now under the influence of a Sith Lord called Darth Sidious.
I've always thought that clip was interesting because what was his actual plan? Like, what was his actual goal by having that conversation with him? Like, I know it was planned down. He was supposed to talk to him about it.
I think I know. Well, he says as well. Like, I wish Qui-Gon was here. Like, I think he was hoping that maybe Obi-Wan would be like his plant. Basically, he'd be like the guy who he would be the guy who would help him take down Sidious when the time came.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. Like, he was giving
like,
him
he was
information.
Qui-Gon's apprentice. He has to be like Qui-Gon. And then when he meets Obi-Wan as the Boy Scout, he goes, "Oh, this is a terrible mistake."
Yeah, that first part's the best. Oh, they've just gone too far. Like, it's so fake.
I'm
but
sorry,
he says everything he's supposed to say. So fake. Yeah, so he basically spends the rest of the war. I mean, it's funny because on the surface in the movies, he's a politician who does a little bit of stuff, a little bit of stuff, a little bit of stuff. But in like other things, comic books and cartoons, that son of a gun is in everything. I don't even know how many Count Dooku. There might be 10 Count Dookus running around because he goes from the sisters to
there's
all
a Count
kinds of
Dooku. There's a Baron Dooku. There's a Duke Dooku.
Yeah, he's over there with the Hutts, trying to plot with the Hutts. He's over there with the witches of Dathomir. He's everywhere trying to get.
So when's his big reveal? I can't remember. That's
the Darth Tyranus reveal
when he fights Yoda.
No, when he fight. Well, yeah, that's when he reveals like the Sith part, but his like the red lightsaber. But the name reveal of Darth Tyranus was when he fought. Was when Cad Bane was trying to kidnap. When we covered Cad Bane, it was when Cad Bane was trying to kidnap the Chancellor, and that whole plan. And
yeah, but if you're talking about the movies, probably. Well, I mean, obviously,
his name in the movie, Darth Tyranus.
No, they never say his name in the movies, but probably he's a bad guy for sure. In that scene with Kenobi, right there, like obviously something's going around. Because what I didn't put in there, because I was trying to keep it below a certain amount, which I think is weird now, because I see how long the death scene is, and it's way long. That's concerning. I didn't realize it was that long. When you see him right before he walks in, and now I wish I had put it on right before he walks in, the bugs are kind of just all slunched over, kind of moving, in a CGI way. And when he walks by, they all like straighten up and they get very serious when he walks by, like they're intimidated by him when he walks by. So, but yeah, I don't think it's until 100%, I guess, until he pulls his lightsaber out and starts fighting Kenobi. And right, that's probably the first time you 100% see red lightsaber. He's definitely a bad guy at that point.
Basically,
when he cuts Anakin's arm off.
And he says together, and Anakin just rushes him, and he gets lightninged to the, to the wall.
Smash those buttons.
So, what do you think? I think that what made him so, because if you look at it, it's very powerful, very fast. Now, of course, we know in extended history that his boss and his boss's boss, all the Darths going up for a while, have been plotting this for years. Like, this isn't something they did overnight. This has been going on. They've been planting seeds. They've been promising the banking federation or whatever they're called, and they've been promising the tech guild and all these other people, all these promises that are happening, and they figure out pretty quick that something's wrong. Like, the funny thing is, if you don't know that they've done all these promises, and these people 100% know they're shady, they 100% know that they're Darth whatever. They know they're no good. But they've been promised all this stuff, and it actually makes the was it the trade? Yeah, it was Trade Federation.
The Trade Federation were the gun raised, and then the clan, the banking clan.
So the Trade Federation, when they're freaking out, like there's something wrong, and they freak out really fast, it isn't because they're all in a partnership and they think it's weird. It's because they're realizing pretty quick this ain't the promise they promised us. This is something going on. That's why he said, no, there's two of them. This is getting out of hand. Because they figure out pretty quick, this isn't, we made the wrong deal here. And I also think it's weird. Like, Trade Federation is big. Does anybody else think it's weird? I mean, we talk about this on another show. But how they got their loyalty, according I got this off of Wikipedia, which I usually try to get about 5 different versions of it, is their deal was kill the Queen of Naboo, and you got a deal. Why do they want Naboo so bad that they're willing to just like go into a whole partnership where they're funding a war for Naboo? Like, I don't know what's so special about Naboo.
If I'm not mistaken, Naboo is like right on the it's on one of the hyperspace routes, like going into the core. So if you took that over, you could, within blockading the planet, basically blockade like a whole supply chain, basically.
Mm-hmm.
So we got a tease of which I guess I should have had the fight here, the original fight. Now, God, I really should have done that, because spoiler alert, my first ever experience with Star Wars, other than seeing a few seconds here and there on TV of the original one, it was like late night, I was with my dad or something, and someone come on, I'd watch a few seconds and I'd walk away or whatever. But I was never a Star Wars fan. I've said it before, my son made me one, because when he was like 2, he became a huge Star Wars fan. I don't know what that's about. But I went with a friend to watch Star Wars. He knew the owner of the theater in the college town I was in. And we got there. He got the time wrong. He got like an hour and a half late. We got there. And when I walk in the theater, I open the doors for the first time. First off, I'm totally making fun of all the Star Wars nerds, because they're dressed up. There's lightsabers going off the whole 9.5. And I'm embarrassed to be here. I was like, God, I hope no chicks see me coming in here. And I go down the stairs. I sit down on a stair. There's no seats for me, obviously. And there's the stairs. There's a fire marshal would have had a field day, because all the stairs going down, all the sides, all the exits are all full of people. Because this is like 24 hours before the show actually is supposed to release. And this guy was doing it for his friends. But he apparently had 30,000 friends, because there was a tremendous amount of people in this theater. The very first Star Wars thing that I remember seeing that I was like, that's kind of cool, was Yoda with his little cane walking into the room and then dropping it and started doing 75,000 flips. And I remember going, what the hell? Like, I remember and of course the whole room was going absolutely apeshit when that happened. But I remember that was the first time that I saw a like Star Wars in a different light, where I was like, holy crap, like that's really cool. The little gremlin is losing his mind and doing all kinds of flips.
Because you never saw at the time like Phantom Menace, the ending.
No,
so this was like the first like fight like that.
Yeah, because I mean, all I saw was like little bits and things of Luke. Like all I saw was like little bits and pieces of that. Like I didn't even really see any kind of like lightsaber fights, because there wasn't a lot in the first ones.
Yeah,
but so that was my this fight scene that we where we decided to talk about. That was my little initiation to Star Wars. Probably way more than people wanted to know about my Star Wars journey. But so anyway, being the sissy Jedi that they are, he's not doing well against Yoda, apparently, because he decides to drop all kinds of crap on Anakin, and Kenobi gets on his ship and pieces out and and gets out of there, makes like a tree and leaves. And that's it.
And of all things, he shows up in Coruscant, of all things, like literally the home world.
And I guess that's it, really, right? He just kind of does things in the back.
Then the whole Clone Wars, obviously there's so much of that. There's so much to cover. Yeah. It's not going to be possible. But
what's your favorite?
Probably, I did like the one where it was him. It was with Hondo, where it was him, Anakin, and Obi-Wan like locked up together.
When they all got captured, that was pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's probably my follow-up one. My favorite's it's season 3 with the Night Sisters. I already talked about that before.
Yeah, Night Sisters is cool.
And in the exquisite pajamas.
No, let me tell you something. The smoking jacket with the pajamas is that's just top notch. It doesn't get better than that. That's top Count Dooku right there.
So it's episode 12, 13, and 14. I think 14 he fights Ventress. That's pretty cool.
Perfect.
The one thing I would say about that is they say that he was the best lightsaber duelist around. Even Even the Emperor said that. That's kind of why he wanted him. He always knew that, of course, the Chosen One should be able to take him out. But he never seemed, even up until the last fight, which we'll see, he never even seemed like he was trying. It was almost like he was amused that somebody was attempting to fight him. Right. Other than with obviously Yoda. Yoda was a little bit different, but like anybody else was fighting him, it was almost like he was amused. Even whether he was the cartoon version of himself or the live action version, it was always funny because it was just kind of like he had a smirk on his face.
He always taunted them. I admit that lightsaber is probably my favorite lightsaber. That's like
pretty awesome.
Awesome one.
But
he found that out because
sleeve, right?
Sorry?
He knew he had lightning up his sleeve, like
he knew
that's why he was so casual about it.
But I think the story that even that lightsaber is like that was one of the like forbidden books, and the Jedi that he wanted to train him, which didn't, told him about it. She told him about the, and he thought it would help with his sparring, and he thought it would.
The curve, it's ergonomic for dueling, and specifically like offense. So he could really like. Technically, the Jedi aren't supposed to be offensive. This was just defensive. So him having a lightsaber which lets him go attack quicker than anyone else can, that is definitely against the rules.
Interesting.
And then again, here I am. I really should have thought this through to the dry run. Again, the battle that I didn't show, the fight. And if you want to know like kind of why the curved sword, according to Star Wars lore, I think in real life it's probably bogus, but the reason why Star Wars lore it works is when he's fighting Kenobi, he's able to quick thrust like he's got an actual dueling sword like we would have, in the Olympic level. Yeah, and he was able to, give him a little quick jab in his shoulder, a little quick jab in his leg, and Kenobi was done, which I think is weird because you can drop like 3 tons of rocks on Kenobi and he's fine, but you give him a little bit tap on his arm, a little bit tap on his leg, he can't do anything. He's completely done. What he should have happened was he should have popped his chest up, right, and ran at him chest first. Hope that Dooku got him in the stomach, because you can't hurt anybody in the stomach. Nobody can die or be hurt in the stomach. You get him in the arm or the leg, you're done. You're done. You can't come up from that. But that's what it was. And then there's also that thing that kind of Star Wars always says, why the staff, when the staff is extremely dangerous. That staff looks ridiculous, even in the hands of the guy who played Darth Maul. I'm like, there's no way you wouldn't burn the hell out of yourself with that staff. But they always say it's something different. Your combatant never saw a staff, never sees a whip. There is whips. They never see the curved thing. So it's like another angle that they don't know about. But I would imagine that Count Dooku is probably pretty formidable because nobody trains how to fight lightsabers anymore. They all say they basically used it for like what? To have the ability to meditate and maybe defense against blasters. That was pretty much all they trained for.
Blasters or simple swords, which that's it.
And he was the only one. Which you would think that somebody would ask him, right? Don't you think? Like Yoda or somebody walk up to him and say, "Hey, let me ask you a question. There are no Sith. We know that because we're arrogant. We believe there are no Sith. Why are you training exclusively as lightsaber duelists? Like, you got any plans you want to talk to me about? Like, what's the story here? Like I've noticed that you refuse to do any kind of meditation or any kind of other forms, and you exclusively do the one that fights other people with lightsabers. I'm just a little curious as to why you're doing that.
And then obviously when he leaves the order, no one decides maybe we should have like Quinlan or someone keep an eye on him.
Yeah, somebody just see. It's weird. He got all that training. He only wanted to fight people with lightsabers, and then he left. That's awfully weird. But obviously, once the Emperor found out about the Chosen One, that no matter what the actual plan was, or maybe the secondary plan, Count Dooku's days were numbered. He had no doubt that he was going to be the patsy, and he's going to replace his role that he could have had with Anakin. And he wanted Anakin, from what I was reading, to do everything. He wanted him to. He thought there's no way that Kenobi could fight General Grievous because Kenobi sucks. There's no way that Kenobi could fight Count Dooku because Kenobi sucks, and everybody else is indisposed. So he thought Anakin could take care of all of these things for him, and then when they get rid of all the Jedi, they could say, "Well, Anakin was the one that came to the realization and helped me with them, so that way he could rule together side by side." So How you know though that they had a lot of respect for him is I was reading that I can't remember which comic book it was, a book. I can't remember, but he wanted Anakin to go after General Grievous because if he beat General Grievous, then he knew he could probably take out Dooku. But the General Grievous was the test. Like if you take him out, then he might be able to take out Dooku, which just kind of tells you something about Dooku because General Grievous.
Depending on what version, like all Dooku needs to do is just electrocute.
Depending on what version of General Grievous it is, like I saw a meme where he's like at a level 10 until later, and he's like a level 2 and everything. But that tells you what you need to know about him. The part that I do like, the last final part, if you have the opportunity to read the book, the novelization of the book, it is not canon. But it makes the last fight scene so much better than you saw in the movie because obviously you have internal discussions. One of the coolest things being that I'm a huge Kenobi fan is that when they first start fighting, Count Dooku immediately realizes he's in trouble because he hasn't even looked over at Anakin yet, but he realizes Kenobi has way far exceeded anything that either him or his master thought Kenobi was capable of. And then I remember at one point after he fought him for a while said, it's not just that he is the master of his style, that he might be the greatest of that style that ever exists, because that's how much praise he had for Kenobi. So he knew he was in trouble. And then he started fighting Anakin, and he couldn't even see Anakin's blades. They're moving so fast. So Count Dooku was like, yeah, this is going to be a problem. This about to be, we're about to have a problem here. So it's a really cool thing of how he was 100% arrogant. It wasn't even going to be a problem. So he was actually super concerned by the end that he ain't gonna make it out of here. Something ain't right because these guys are way too overpowered. But that was the main thing that actually almost ruined all their plans. Was they've consistently thought Kenobi was a bum. Like, and I was reading that the Emperor was actually laughing because they thought that he was no way Kenobi could take out General Grievous. But the other thing he thought was really dumb that they did that was he realized at that point that there was no way they had suspected anything because the only thing he thought holding Anakin from being his apprentice 100% was Kenobi. That was one of the, obviously his wife was the other thing, but he thought he had that understood from, thinking she's going to die. Do you want to save her? And then when they sent him off planet in the movie, he immediately goes to Anakin and finishes up that little deal. We're going to finish that up because now Kenobi's not even around to stop this. So he thought that was pretty hilarious. But they come back. Here is the fight. This is a long fight, so buckle up.
We will do it together. I was about to say that.
Get help, you're no match for him. He's a Sith Lord.
Chancellor Palpatine, Sith Lords are our speciality.
Your swords, please. We don't want to make a mess of things in front of the Chancellor.
You won't get away this time, Dooku.
I've been looking forward to this.
My powers have doubled since the last time we met, Count.
Good. Twice the pride, double the fall.
Good, Anakin, good. Kill him. Kill him now.
I shouldn't.
Do it.
And that is the death of one of the best characters in the entire Star Wars, in my opinion.
So I have here the in the novelization what Dooku says, because they didn't have it in the movie, obviously. So Dooku says, when after Palpatine says, "Kill him now," he says, "Chancellor, please." He gasps, desperate and helpless. His aristocratic demeanor invisible, his courage only a bitter memory. He is reduced to begging for his life, as so many of his victims shave. "Please, you promised me immunity. We had a deal. Help me." And then Palpatine's like, "A deal only if you released me, not if you used me as bait to kill my friends." And then after Palpatine says, "Finish him," and says, "Do it," Dooku says, as he looked up into the Dooku thought, as he looked up to the eyes of Anakin Skywalker for the final time, Count Dooku knows that he has been deceived not just today, but for many, many years. That he never been the true apprentice. That he has never been the heir to the power of the Sith. He has been only a tool. His whole life, all his victories and his struggles, his heritage, his principles and sacrifices, everything he's done, everything he owns, and everything he's been, all his dreams, grand vision for the future empire and the army of Sith, has only been a pathetic sham because of all of them and all of him." And then that's it. That's all you can say. Then he dies.
And then his head rolls on the floor, bounces a little bit here and there.
Yeah, a little bounce.
Wow.
But yeah.
That's the story of him. So what do you think about Count Dooku there, Kachung?
No, I think there was a lot in Clone Wars. I think I love the actor in the movies. I mean,
yeah, Christopher Lee, amazing job, amazing choice.
Saruman is kind of almost half. It's kind of like the same character, but not really. But
pick the evil character to play this.
I do prefer seeing the Dooku character in the Clone Wars.
Much more fleshed out.
Yeah, it's a lot more fleshed out. And maybe if they put him in a movie and gave him some more screen time, gave him some backstory and fleshed that out, it would be pretty amazing.
Mm-hmm.
They probably have to do it. I mean, he's getting on, right?
Who?
Christopher Lee.
Oh, he died a long while ago, buddy.
Oh, right.
Do you remember?
Yeah.
He died
he's definitely getting on in the world.
He's getting on in the worm's face. But definitely still one of my favorite characters by far in Star Wars. And yeah, I'm definitely obviously the more we look into the character, the more we learn, and like, yeah, he definitely keeps that pedigree right there.
Yeah, I think that do you actually have the clip thing in here? I don't see it.
I wish he had the 2003 ones, but
did you actually make the actual clip movie thing that he makes usually? Did you do that, or you just have the clips in there?
What?
In the drive. Yeah, slides.
I have like the whole slideshow there.
You sure about that?
Yeah.
What is it labeled as then?
I saw it.
I think it's like a shortcut or something.
It is EP 49 slides of a period, so it should be the second from the top.
Second. Oh, that's not how Issues did it. Okay, so I'm gonna need you to label it correctly from now on. Well, I think that's his story. So we're going to kind of go into this is the part of the show that we're going to go into the collectibles and the comic books versions, show some of his stuff, do a little of perhaps do a little bit of that. So this is so let's do that real quick.
There's a chance
I was about to say something extremely sad because I don't have Count. How do you do this? I don't have Count Dooku toys.
I have lots uploaded into the thing for pictures, so
yeah. But I do. I just don't have the ones that I just have the ones that I want. Like I don't have any of the Black Series or anything.
What was that?
You might have to run. You said right.
Well, yeah, I mean, I might have to pop off, and I should be able to come back.
Okay. Well, if you pop off, then we'll know.
We got a visitor, and not right now, but pretty soon.
Okay, perfect. Well, we should get through these pretty quick.
No worries.
I put myself a lot of punishment by adding too many things, so I had to see what it was like on the receiving end here.
Good. I'm sure he'll appreciate that. All right.
That's pretty cool. Look at that.
Nah, I'm not even gonna look at it because I know what that is. So we're gonna go on past that.
So,
all right. So take it away, sir.
So we got way too much to cover here. Obviously, movie and TV. First appearance, Attack of the Clones. The 2003 Clone Wars series. He appeared in multiple of the chapters, obviously, with Grievous and Asajj training them as like the biggest points. Then he shows up in the Clone Wars 2008 film. Funny enough, in that movie, he was voiced by Christopher Lee. But in the TV series, he was voiced by, I can't remember the actor's name, but that's when they got a different actor to do him. But that movie, they still had Christopher Lee.
Oh, it's that guy that does one of the Transformers voices.
Mm-hmm.
He does a bunch of stuff.
He's a popular voice actor. I just can't remember his name. But after that, obviously he shows up a ton in season 1. Again, Dooku capture was the one we were talking about, where him with Kenobi, Hondo, and Anakin. Season 2, he's only there briefly, but season 3, he makes a lot more appearances again with the Night Sisters and the Asajj Ventress.
Yeah.
As the highlight for that season. Next slide. There.
Okay. Good Lord.
Then, yeah, he really makes a lot of appearances. Season 4, he makes a lot there. That's the one that has the storyline with Obi-Wan going undercover and with the capture of Palpatine. Season 5, very little again. And season 6, he appears in a bunch of random episodes. But specifically, it's the Yoda Vision episodes where he sees Dooku as if he was back to being a Jedi Master. And then ultimately, Revenge of the Sith, he shows back up again. And soon, we'll be seeing him in the Tales of the Jedi series, which will be coming out, I think it is supposed to be next year.
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah. Outside of that, lots of comic appearances for him. Lots and lots. So the spec alert is real here. I can confirm, I don't think I have most of these comics. I think I have like one.
I have the Jango Fett. How about that?
Good.
I think I have a couple of the not Dark Visions, the Vader's Castle.
Oh yes, that one. So basically, his first appearance and cover are both in issue 3 of Attack of the Clones, the adaptation. Obviously, then
I should think about getting those Attack of the Clones series, and then maybe that Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir. I mean, they seem like those are pretty good books. I should probably think about picking one of those.
Don't forget Darth Vader 1.
Yeah, that one's a lot more money now after I looked. And then after that, Jango Fett Open Seasons, the 1 through 4 miniseries. He appears in that. Basically, the whole time it's involving him hiring Jango. After that, there's a whole arc in the Star Wars Republic series called with Quinlan Vos and him infiltrating Dooku and trying to be a plant.
Oh, we totally forgot about that. The Quinlan Vos.
Yeah, that was a very very good run, and it covers a lot of stuff there. Specifically, it covers his first solo issue, his one shot. That's the Jedi Count Dooku #1. After that, Tales 19 shows up in, as well as Obsession 5. And then following that is the retconned Star Wars The Clone Wars. That was the one where it was based on the TV show. So he shows up in issue 1, the uber expensive one, as well as a bunch of others.
Right.
And then following that, Revenge of the Sith #1 and Visionaries #1. Now, losing breath here. Moving on to canon. Technically speaking, his first canon appearance would be Darth Maul, Son of Dathomir #1. And then his first canon cover appearance is #2, the iconic him doing the lightning towards the camera.
Right.
Following that, when they did the Age of Republic one-shots, he showed up in the Jango Fett issue, and then obviously his own single issue, which had 3 different variant covers on top of the regular. And then going into after that, Star Wars Adventures, there was 3 different adventure series: the Clone Wars Battle Tales, the main series, and then Tales from Vader's Castle, where he shows up in a bunch of issues, as well as on a lot of variant covers. And then on top of that, there were 2 other variant covers.
Why is it doing this? You're working against me. Okay.
On top of that, there's 2 variant covers there: Dr. Aphra, The Greatest Moments, Lucasfilm 50th, and they also just recently announced one of the Choose Your Destiny variants where it has the lightsaber on it. His is on there too. So yeah, lots.
You know, it's
so
funny,
there's this first. Huh?
I would say before Kachung, because I don't know if he was going to pop out. I was going to show this later, but I want to show it to you now. So I just got this the other day, and do you see what it comes with?
That's awesome.
His lightning comes.
Tree roots.
It comes with the hand of lightning. I just wanted to show that to you. I just got it the other day, and I was like, "Oh, look at that! It's got his lightning. Like you can't even take it off. That's part of his hand. It's grown into his hand at this point."
Oh, seriously?
Yeah. All right, so there is what?
That's the first cover and first appearance.
Do we call that over the shoulder? Is that what we're calling this right here?
I would call that an over the shoulder.
Nice.
Floating heads.
Then you have that was the Jango Fett miniseries, obviously. So if you look in the bottom left, the 3rd issue, that is Dooku there, standing over the massacred Mandalorian clan.
This is like the Corn cover album. Oh Lord.
And then here, so yeah, the moment where Jango is like saying, "You killed them all, the whole clan," and then Dooku going, "What have we done?" These were the issues of Republic that had the Quinlan Voss story arc with Jango Fett. We've covered the Quinlan Voss ones already before too. Same with these ones as well.
Oh my God, I don't have this, and this is awesome.
Yeah, that's an amazing cover. So that was his first solo issue, basically.
That was almost the thumbnail.
That was almost it.
Yeah, but I chose the red.
And this damn book that's the bane of my existence, you sorry ass. Sorry.
So yeah, this one is a little under the radar. So yeah, Dooku in the Clone Wars style shows up.
So cool.
And then these are the other issues of Clone Wars that he shows up in. Again, we've covered some of these with Plo Koon, Commander Cody already. So definitely one of those. And then this is his death in the comic form. Again, the art is horrendous, but
yeah.
And I was gonna say, you know, right here you show him only having one arm cut off, and that was the original plan. The original plan, not in the movie, but that's what Count Dooku thought was going to happen. Was I believe they had a conversation? He was like, you know, you're going to have to lose a hand or an arm.
I didn't even acknowledge that he only had one arm there. What the hell?
Yeah, he's got one of his hands still there. That's way more canon, though, right? Because Star Wars, we don't cut off both hands; we cut off one hand. Come on.
Well, that's why Dooku was like, he knew he was dead when he lost both his hands. And then technically, yeah, the first canon appearance.
Look at that cover, dude.
And what's fun is this is the first time he actually meets Darth Maul.
Seriously, if you have a halfway decent art, is there anybody else that can just make a better cover? I don't know, like main person than Darth Maul. Darth Maul makes the coolest covers if you do it right.
Mm-hmm.
Look, you go. There you go, Kachung. Lightning.
Sweet. Perfect. On that note, I got to pop off. I'll be back.
Yep. Yes, sir. We'll keep going.
Right. And then there's the other issues of the Son of Dathomir. Obviously, the one on the far left is amazing with the lightning, and then Dooku being stared down by the Darksaber on the right in the middle.
I do have this in the Age of Republic one.
Yeah, so these are the Age of Republic issues that he shows up in the Jango Fett on the left, and his own self-titled on the right.
Listen,
That's the
I
A
like
cover.
that book. Okay, until I saw this. Now I think my book is doo-doo. Actually, is what it is. I don't even want it anymore. I want the other book now.
Well, wait till you see the variants.
I didn't have any of the variants. No, I didn't get any of these.
Yeah, so these are the 3 variants. The middle one was the concept art variant, and the one on the left and right, the one on the far right was the 1 in 25, I think.
Yeah, you know what? I like the original one better. I would get that one just because of it's the actor and he's a legend. The other 2, they're okay, but I wasn't like, oh man, I missed out. Like they're just fine.
Mm-hmm.
I love the
And then
Battle
these are all
Tales. These are
the
fun comics.
Yeah, they great covers too. These are all the issues of Battle Tales. Obviously, he shows up on the wraparound cover in the middle, which is very small. But otherwise, yeah. And then this is a fun one.
It looks ridiculous.
Hilarious looking Dooku. But the bottom right, I really like the bottom ones.
Yeah, the bottom one's good. Oh, that's a connecting one, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mind you, I think Mace Windu's got the Harrison Ford going on, or one side of his face looks a little different than the other.
Yeah, it does. Yeah, this is definitely different. Vader's Castle.
Also another great combo of covers there. Vader's Castle. So he shows up in issue 2, and there's 2 variants of it, and then issue 5 as well. And then these are the 2 one-shot. That's one of the only ones I have is the left one there, the Dr. Afra.
I don't have that.
And
it's cool,
and then on the right is the 15th
Will you send it to me?
variant.
Will you give me this cover?
Absolutely not.
What? You sorry, selfish son of a gun.
I'll
you know
find
why?
you
Look,
another one. I'll find you
look what he does. Look what he does. He's got the Doctor Strange fingers. Look what he's doing.
He's blessing Yoda.
This is the most me cover in the world. You have the Doctor Strange fingers on Count Dooku. Perfect.
First appearance.
Oh wow. What a jerk. I don't have any of these.
So following that, these are the left is his first figure that was ever released. The Attack of the Clones one. Interestingly enough, it comes with a green lightsaber too.
Well, that's what he had, right? He had a green lightsaber.
Well, that's the thing, which is interesting. And then in the right, you have the Revenge of the Sith, the 2 different toys of that. And then
that's the one I just showed
on the left, I think it was. On the left is the 2 different Clone Wars. You had the 2003, and then you had the 2008 Clone Wars series, as well as the only Black Series figure of Dooku on the right so far.
And I've almost bought this like 4 times and I haven't done it yet. I don't know why.
Then you have this is the first Lego set with Dooku.
By the way,
I had
no way would I thought that's Count Dooku if you had showed me that, like out of box or something.
Yeah, that's the very first one he had. Now this is something I want. This is the Black Series lightsaber of Dooku.
Is Dooku's hilt black like that?
Yep.
Oh wow, that is freaking awesome, dude. Wow, that's a handsome saber.
And then a fun fan made.
Oh, okay.
You know the
what the hell is this?
You know the statue ones, like